Hello, lovely people. Welcome to today's edition. As you all know, on this platform, every week we try to bring you special guests to share their life experience with you, how they have been able to journey, most especially in China. Join with us is today our special guest. You can see how beautiful and how good looking she is, presentable for today's interview. She's
Thank you.
no other person than Ivy from Cape Verde. She is a master's student in China. She has lived in China for more than 5 years now, and today she can't wait to share her experience with you all. Experience that can be very useful to you in your life, whether you are in China, you are outside China, or wherever. Without wasting my time, I'd like to welcome her. Ivy, welcome to this platform.
Thank you, Dex. I would first like to thank you for inviting me to this sharing platforms. It's always a pleasure to, talk about experiences here in China. And I would like to extend my greetings to everyone who's watching right now and for the people who are going to watch later. I'm Ivonilde Oliveira, but a lot of people call me Ivy. I'm from Cape
Ivy.
Verde. And right now, I'm doing my master's degree here in China, in Ningbo City.
Oh, Nimbo, wow. Your accent, which which country are you from? Can you tell us a little bit about your country?
Yes, I'm from Cabo Verde, in English, Cape Verde.
Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Oh, because your accent sound more American to me. I don't know which kind of language you speak in your country.
Well, in Cape Verde, we do not speak English. We
Oh,
speak
really?
Portuguese and Creole. In fact, Creole is our mother language, and then Portuguese is our official
Oh,
language. Yes,
oh, Creole.
but we
Oh,
yeah, but we learn English in school, sometimes high school, middle school, but you know, my my English accent does not really have to do with Cape Verde because in fact we
yeah.
don't really speak English there.
So how did you manage to speak very good accent, almost like an American?
Um I I had to really learn oral English because
Okay.
when I used to be in my country, we do
Yeah,
study English in middle school and high school, but we just study to write the exams. We
exams.
don't really know. Uh, of course, there are people who might have the opportunity to have some courses outside of school, but that wasn't
Yeah,
my case. So when I came to China, my English was zero.
really.
Yes. And now I had to learn from people, teach myself as well through videos, YouTube videos. So I guess that's how I got the accent from friends and also from people on YouTube.
Wow, this is so interesting to know. You are saying that before coming to China, you couldn't even speak any good English, and now you can speak like this. Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't because there we I personally needed
Yes.
the English just to write the exams. And that's what I knew, but I didn't know how to do conversations. And when I came here, I was so lost. And I say, no, this cannot be my story.
Wow, this is so interesting and inspiring. Coming to China without any English, hey, it's so hard. Well, before we even talk about China, um, before coming to China, what did you know about China?
Mm, I had a very, let's say, superficial perspective about China before coming here. I really didn't know much. I knew some stuff from movies that I used to watch growing up. I used to watch a lot of
Oh,
those kung fu movies, but
really?
Yes, I really love those movies, and that's what I knew. And also, there was something about in about me that I used to see China as, oh, I believe that China has a lot of business opportunities, but I didn't know much because I was just growing up, and that was
Yeah.
in my mind because I used to see that a lot of products are made in China. So I say, oh, I think China has a lot of factory. Maybe it's a good place for business. But at that time, I didn't even understand what was that.
Oh, really? For me, I only knew China just because of the movies. I never knew that China is a very big business hub. Even though I could see made in China, but I used to underrate China so much, like making things. I never respected China to be this great. So I'm surprised you even knew a little bit about business in China. Then that's so good. So how come you decided to come to China? At what point did that decision come that you should come to China?
Well, when I was in high school, I was already, about to graduate,
Yeah.
and I was seeing the options that we usually have back home. I always
Okay.
wanted to apply for a scholarship. So, for me to go abroad, the
Yeah.
the opportunity I had, it was to get a scholarship. So I started
Oh,
studying the opportunities that were there, trying to apply, trying to gather all the documents to apply. So I got to know about China. And in the beginning, I was just like, oh, okay, China is just another country
ocean.
on the
Yeah.
list. So I didn't really make up my mind that okay, I was going to come to China. But then my family started saying, oh, China is a very good opportunity. There's a lot of students going there, so you could check it out. And that's how I end up, picking China. But it was
Oh,
a bit random. It wasn't really like, oh, it was my dream to come to China. It wasn't really.
oh, really? Wow. So, what you were saying that China wasn't really an option. So, which of the countries were you targeting? Were you hoping to get those scholarships to go to? Which countries were they?
Well, in my country, there's a lot of people going to Brazil, because I heard that there's a lot of good schools there, especially if you want to do things related to, you know, health, and
Sorry,
also Portugal.
sorry for interrupting. It's like the network is a little bit yeah. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, so as I was saying, one of the
Yeah.
options that I had was Brazil. You know,
Brazil.
Brazil was there on the list. Also Portugal.
Oh, why
Yeah, just
Brazil?
countries that speak the same language.
Oh, Portugal. Okay.
So somehow you end up wanting to go to to where
It will
that
be
you
very
won't have
easy.
much problems. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you never wanted to go to US, Canada. It was all Portugal, Brazil, so that it would be very easy for you to communicate.
Exactly. Like a country that has a different language from mine wasn't really an option. Okay, I had
Yeah.
China. I thought about China. I thought about a couple countries, like, for example, Russia, that I also know that people go there. But, I was always trying to choose the easiest one.
Yeah. Wow. So you applied those countries, then how can you apply China? Because
So,
you knew
sorry.
that they can't speak Portugal, they can't speak English. This is Chinese. How come you apply China?
Yeah. So, as I'm searching, and I'm also seeing not only the quality of the places, but also I started seeing, financially, what could be the best to choose, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, after doing that, I came to an agreement that okay, China would be the best place for me to go. I should go and try to see how it, how it goes, if it's going to work for me. So let me come to China. Basically, that was it. And then I didn't think much. Honestly, I did not think much. I just saw a couple factors and I was like, okay, let's see China. And another thing is, also, what would I learn? you know I
Wow.
thought, like, okay, if I go to Portugal, it's
Yeah.
basically the same thing. It's not the same
The same
culture, but
language.
yeah, there is no much differences. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be very exposed to new things.
Yeah.
Brazil, the same thing. I know the language, so it's just a matter of time for me to understand the things there. So I say,
Yeah.
okay, let me go and learn something new.
Oh wow. So you mentioned there were several factors. One was the scholarship in China. Two was learning something new. Was
Yes.
there more other reasons why you decided to choose China?
Mm, not really much. Like, I did not think much.
Oh, that's
There were
so
few
great.
factors. I did not, because I was also 18. So at that time, I don't know about you, but in my case, when I was 18,
Yeah.
my knowledge was a bit shallow. So,
Oh, I see. So, must I say you are very brave and courageous because you knew there would be a very big language barrier. You couldn't even speak English, yet you decided to come to China. What was really encouraging you? What was that force that was driving you to take that bold decision? I feel like it's a very bold decision. You didn't know much about China, big language barrier, you couldn't speak English, here they speak Chinese. What really inspired you to take that decision?
um, I think also my family somehow played a part there. Not saying that they forced me to come to China. That's not what
Yeah,
I mean. But
yeah,
they started encouraging me, saying like, "Oh, this could be a good deal for you. This could be a good opportunity, to go and learn something new." And China is a country that it's developing day
yeah.
by day. So this is, I remember my dad telling me, this country is developing very fast, and so go there, it's a good opportunity. Other people used to say also, wow, China, China, you can go, you can just try. So basically that's why.
Oh wow. So then that's great. For you, you had people to inspire you, even your parents. I had several people who have been on this platform who said even their parents were discouraging them because they didn't know much about China and they were so scared where they would live. They only knew about the Kung Fu, the Shaolin temples, so they were so scared. So I would say that your parents really helped you in that part. Then, after coming to China, your first time in China, what was the experience? Your first days in China?
Sorry, may you please come again, because I think there was a problem on the network.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's breaking.
Oh, okay, I see. Is it better now?
uh Somehow.
Oh, my network. All right, so I was trying to say that what was your first experience when you just arrived in China?
When I first arrived here, what was my
Experience, because you didn't know much about China. So when you arrived here, how was your experience to the new environment?
So when I first arrived here, um, I remember that first impression when I got to the Beijing airport, it was
Yeah.
everyone staring at me. A
Oh,
lot of people staring at, I came with a group of students, so there's
yeah.
a lot of people staring at us. asking us things that we don't even understand, taking pictures. So that was the,
Really?
the first thing. Yeah.
Oh wow. So people just wanted to take pictures with you, asking questions. Oh.
That we couldn't even understand.
And what was your reaction towards that?
My reaction was like, huh? These people, they never saw. So I didn't even thought much, but I was like, they never saw foreigners, or what's going on?
Oh wow. So after the airport to the school, your first days in China, what was some of the cultural shock?
Yeah. So after the airport, now we went to our to the city that we were going to study, because I
Yeah.
wasn't studying in Beijing. I was going to another city. So when I got
Okay.
to the other city, now I have to, uh, get accommodated in my school. I started exploring. The first thing is you want to eat, you want a
Yeah.
place to sleep. So the first day I got to my school, there was a
Yeah.
place nearby our school where we could buy food. There's also food inside of the canteen at the school, but somehow some friends say, okay, let's try to go outside and check. So we went outside. We saw the food options. It's a bit different. And the following days, my life was just like going out, trying to explore the places to eat, to explore the food. Sometimes I
Wow.
bought some terrible food, sometimes I bought things that I like. So I was just trying. I was just
Yeah.
trying. Yeah.
Wow. So concerning the food, how was your feeling with the food compared to your country?
Sorry, may you please come again?
How was your feeling when you first tried some of the Chinese food?
um I'm not sure if I'm getting you because of the it's breaking a lot.
Oh, can you hear me now?
um Should I switch on my VPN, or I do not need to do that? Because
You do
maybe
not you do not need to do that. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but somehow it's breaking.
Oh, I see.
But I think you can go again. I think now it's a bit
Yeah,
better.
I was asking that how was the feeling when you first tried Chinese food? What was the feeling as compared to your country's food?
It's very different from my country food. Very, very different. Like the spices they use, the way they make their food. Sometimes us, we don't really have this um we don't really eat sweet and sour, but here they
Yeah,
like a lot of sweet and sour. They like a lot of, make sometimes the meat is even a bit sweet. But
yeah.
in our country, sweet is for cakes, is for other, for dessert, not really for meat and stuff. So that was the main difference I spot in the beginning.
Oh wow. So how were you able to adjust to the new food? Like coming new, you didn't like it that much. How were you able to adjust to eating Chinese food?
Oh, great. Now I hear you well. Um, it was just about trying. One thing about me, I've been always a very curious person. So I told
Okay.
you in the beginning that I used to go out and explore places to eat. So I started, trying and understand
Yeah.
that China has a great cuisine. Like they have a good cuisine here, but you have to
Yeah.
spot the things that you like, the things that, okay, this is my taste, this I can accept, and this I cannot accept. So it was just trying. And some days I just ate things that I didn't like, and some days I
Yeah.
found things that I really like. And now I understood, okay, I can eat this noodle. So when I go to another place, even if it's a different place, but I see the same type of noodles, okay,
Yeah.
I'll, or oh, this kind of fish, the way they do, it's okay for me. So
Yeah.
that's how I got used.
Oh wow. Then I must say that for you, you didn't have any challenge with food because you were somebody who was willing to try something new, try different food. So you didn't have challenge with food. What are some other things you found is so strange when you came to China at the beginning?
Um, yeah, the food challenge, no, it wasn't really a big challenge. Now, one of the things I noticed that was really, it was very, I used to question a lot how
Yeah.
Chinese people are always on their phones. This
Oh,
was like, oh, I don't mean that people don't like phones in my country, but the way Chinese
yeah,
are always at their phone, even the taxi driver is driving, but he's there on his phone.
exactly. Yeah.
It was a big shocking for me. I said, oh, okay. These people really love their phones. Another thing is it
Yeah.
got me really time to get used to. Sometimes the way they're speaking, you might take it as they're offending you, they're shouting at
Oh,
you, but turns out that's how they even talk with each other. And sometimes they're
yeah.
not even being rude, it's just their tone, it's just the way they're speaking. So in the beginning I used to say, oh, why are these people shouting at me?
Oh wow, yeah. For me, I can also really relate. I remember when I came, the first taxi driver, the way he was speaking, I was like, this man is so rude. I didn't understand. Like, but later on, I got to understand, oh, this is how they speak. Even when they are very happy, that is when they are very loud. Yeah,
Exactly. I was so confused about that. I used to think like, how can these people, why are they being rude to me? And now I start seeing, okay, how they speak with each other.
yeah,
I started learning Chinese. And when I learned the language, that's when I understood, okay, these people, they were not being rude. Okay, of course, there are people who are going to be rude. That's
yeah,
normal. But it's not the way I thought. I really thought that everyone was being rude to me.
yeah. Wow. So before coming to China, you couldn't speak Chinese. When you
No,
came to China, yeah. When you came to China, how were you able to learn the Chinese language? So many people are always complaining Chinese is so difficult, Chinese is so hard. How did you manage to learn Chinese?
now that's where my biggest challenge started. Because remember, I told you in the beginning, my English was just the level that I could just, write exams at school.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to class to learn Chinese, but guess what language I'm going to use to study Chinese?
But
English.
oh yeah, English. Okay.
Yes.
And
So
you couldn't
now
speak English too.
I couldn't speak English. My English was just like, okay, I could understand a little bit. I knew words, I knew separated words. That's the
Yes.
thing. I knew separated words. I knew that, okay, this is what it means. But when you put all the words together and when you're just saying a whole sentence, now it's a problem for me to understand. So in the beginning, I was really bad in Chinese class. Like, I remember that in my class, if you go and
Yeah.
I was comparing myself with other people. So if
Yeah.
I compare with the other students, I could say I was one of the last people
Really?
in my class. Yeah. We went to do the HSK test. We went to do the HSK 3,
Yeah.
the HSK 3. And then I had the second lowest score in my class between me
Oh,
and my friends. I still remember that.
wow. Then I feel like with this experience, how were you able to manage this kind of experience? Because you were going through difficulties how to learn the language. So how did you manage to overcome this challenge? I'm sure there are so many people who are already in China and they are also facing the same challenge with language, learning Chinese language.
Yes.
How did you manage?
So as I told you, we went to do that test, which is very important here in China, but it was just the level 3, and I saw, oh my god, I'm the second lowest score in my class, even between my friends.
Yeah,
I got to do something. And I don't know where is the problem. Why I cannot advance my Chinese? Why is this happening?
yeah,
So at that moment, I somehow figured out that, okay, one of my problems is the fact that I am still struggling with English. And when I finish my class, I am so
yes,
demotivated because I'm not understanding anything. I just
yeah.
go home, I just go to my back to my dormitory, and I close the books and I
You
never
don't
read them.
learn. Yeah, yeah,
So I spot two problems already. And now I started working on those two problems. But for me to understand those problems, it was
yeah,
very frustrating. It was very frustrating because I also have to do exams. I also
yes.
have to start my major, which is going to be in Chinese. So how is it going to be?
Wait, are you saying you studied your major in Chinese language?
Yes, yes, I did that.
Wow. So, meaning you had to learn Chinese for the first year, then after you pass the language, then you start your major.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen. I didn't even study Chinese for 1 year. A lot of people study it for 1 year. I studied Chinese for 2 years
Wow.
because I saw that, okay, my Chinese level, I couldn't start my major with that level. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Most of the people, they can do it in 1 year and they
Yeah.
can be okay with that. But for me, I wasn't okay with that. It wasn't an option for me because I just couldn't get it.
Wow. That must be very challenging. So, why is it that did you feel at a point to give up?
Yes, I did. I remember I remember calling my mom and saying, "Oh, maybe I should just apply to another country and just leave." And then my mom was just like, if you feel you can do this, it's okay. We can
Yeah.
just, talk to your dad, and you can come and see, but try. That this was it was the words of my mom. And when I spoke to my dad, I say, oh, probably I don't want to do it again. And my dad, he was also pushing me, saying, try and see. If you really can't do it, we can see what
Yeah.
we can, you know but then I started another semester with another mindset,
Yeah.
understanding what was my problem. I started, spotting my problem and
Yeah.
solving them. So that's
Wow.
how I started giving my time, more time into my studies, focusing into my studies. At that
Yes.
time, I started, hanging out more with Chinese people as
Yeah.
well, and having the language environment. I started improving my English, with friends, also on YouTube. As I told you, I had to learn and improve my
English.
English. So that's how I overcame this problem. It was hard. It was really, really hard, but it's not impossible.
Wow. I'm really impressed and inspired. I can't believe somebody who couldn't speak English. Now the way you speak, you almost speak like an American. Wow, I'm really proud of you. Some things I've learned from what you just mentioned. So, in order for you to pass Chinese language, you started from your mindset.
Yes.
Wow. From your mindset, and second, you started hanging out with Chinese to learn Chinese language and with English on the internet, and wow. So how was it? So after this mindset, after hanging out with Chinese, how were you able to start improving upon your Chinese?
Yeah. So I just want to talk about the mindset shift, because I
Yeah,
see it's very important to I'm sharing here my story, but of course I want
Yes.
other students to also to learn from me.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
hear a lot of people saying, I can never learn this language. Ah,
Yeah.
me, I gave up. No, you have an option to give up. You do,
Yeah.
but you also have an option to come stronger. Because in my case, what
Yeah.
really frustrated me is the fact that, is the failing. First of all, the failing, which I've never experienced in my life back home. In school I was always good, but when I came here I said, what is going on?
Wow.
And the
Yeah.
second thing that was frustrating me is the fact that I'm feeling defeated. I'm letting down my family.
Yes.
You hear me?
You
I
felt
got
like
this.
killing them.
Yeah, I got this opportunity. I
Yes.
I even thought about some of my previous classmates back home who couldn't
Get
leave
the
the country.
opportunity. Yes.
Yet I'm here. I'm here in a country where people everywhere I turn, people are speaking Chinese. So how am I going to use that in my favor?
Wow.
So that's what made me change, and that's what I want people to pay attention to. Pay attention to the opportunities that you have right now, despite of what you don't have. What you don't have, you don't have. But
Yeah.
focus on what you have. Focus on what is in front of you, and this is what I do in every
Wow.
circumstances. And you're talking about someone who failed so many times. I'm not a person who was just winning, winning, winning. I came here,
Wow.
I told you, I was the second worst score in my class.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm really inspired. So I'm really inspired because you thought about the opportunity you had, because you compared yourself to people who couldn't make it. People wish to be in China and they never had it. So you saw that this was a big opportunity. So there was no option to give up. Wow. This is so inspiring. Huh. Wonderful. And I'm really impressed. So from that shift, you were able to start learning slowly. How did you make it?
Okay, so I will talk about the Chinese and the English part, right?
Yeah.
So for me, the English part, my best friend, she used to speak English. So in order for us to communicate, I need to know
Yeah.
something. But also when you're exposed to the language, now you start understanding, oh, okay, this is how we say this. And
Yeah.
sometimes I say something wrong. She used to help me to correct it. And I started watching a lot of daily vlogs on YouTube. They started to become very let's say very they started to become a thing on YouTube,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So I
Daily
used to
vlog.
watch them a lot when I'm doing I can be cleaning my dormitory and I'm listening to that, or I'm doing something, I'm listening to that. So this is for the English part.
Wait, you
But it took
mentioned
me
your
time.
friend. You mentioned
Sorry.
your friend. Was that your friend a Chinese?
No, my friend who she was from Zimbabwe. She is from
Oh,
Zimbabwe.
okay. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, on the English side. So
Yeah.
but still the English also took me time to, I had to go through levels.
Yeah.
Now for the Chinese was more challenging, but I got to a time where I started hanging out a lot with Chinese people, and I had this very good friend who's a
Yeah.
Chinese. She's still my good friend.
Wow.
Um, she didn't know English as well, so she didn't know English. I have to use Chinese with her.
Yeah.
I started going to the library to study for the HSK4, which is the test we do here. So I
Yeah.
started trying to learn more and trying to get the time that I lost, because I can tell you I lost a lot of time.
Wow.
I lost a lot of time while trying to figure out what was the problem.
Yes.
And basically that's what I did. And of course God came through. I have to give credits to God as well,
Yeah.
because you know, to from a person who was really like very very low in Chinese to
Yes.
get the level that I'm even right now. It can only be God. It can only
Wow.
be God.
Wow. It can really only be because so what is your Chinese level now?
I'm fluent in Chinese.
Wow. Na
I'm
na ni
fluent.
hui ni kai sure John when ma yon John when sure.
对啊，我会说中文，我们可以用中文交流啊。
Oh, me, my Chinese is not that good. Wow, I'm really impressed that you were able to change that mindset. So, can I say that um, you failed Chinese at the beginning because you didn't have that good mindset?
Um, I believe my mindset was stopping me, but also I didn't know. Like I was still struggling with English, and now I have to even figure out another language. So basically, yeah, basically I could say it's my mindset was setting me
Wow,
back.
wow. I've met several people, and I know there are several people who still come to China who cannot speak English and at the same time cannot speak Chinese.
Mm.
So, what are the? I feel like, can you say that you didn't get guidance? Maybe you didn't get anybody to guide you or to advise you. That is why you failed for some time.
Mm, I would say yes and no, because yes, of course, the environment,
Yeah,
your environment is going to have an impact in your life. And I used to hang out more. In the beginning I used to hang out with more with people from my country, so I didn't even need to
speak any language.
to
Try
speak
to learn.
anything rather than my language.
Yeah.
So yes, it can affect you as well, but no, because in life it's not always that you will find guidance. And now you're talking about, let's say we are legal adults, you passed
Yeah.
18, now you're a legal adult, even though you don't know how to figure out things yet, but you have to try.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, sometimes you don't have the information, the information to change. So it
Wow.
can be, yeah.
Wow. So, what are you trying to do to help? Do you have any plans to help those who are coming to China and cannot speak English at the same time Chinese? Do you have any plans for them, or what advice will you give to anybody like that?
Well, in terms of plans, I don't really have something in specific.
Yeah.
I don't have a service that I want to provide for people or even kind of help. But if I have to give, um, if I have to these people who are struggling with language, well, first of all, you need to understand what is your problem. So aren't
Yeah.
you able to learn that? Because sometimes it can be that you're really not interested to eat. Don't get me wrong, because if you come to China and you see that this is really not what you want for your life,
Yes.
then you rather just forget about it. You can leave, you can just go somewhere where you will feel okay, this is the place I want to be.
Yeah.
But if you figure out that okay, this is really the place you want to be, now you get to find the problem. What is your problem? Is it your mind? Is it your mindset? Is
Yeah.
it the your environment? Because maybe you are studying so well in the class, you read all the characters and everything, but when you go outside you cannot communicate with people. Then it means that
Yeah.
okay, you're reading everything, but you don't know how to communicate with people. That means you don't have the language environment, so you got to create the language environment. It can
Wow.
be that you cannot understand what people are saying. You know how to read, you know how
Yeah.
to say the things, but when they're talking, you don't understand. Now that means you have a problem with your listening, with your Chinese listening. So maybe you can try to watch some movies or dramas, or even I wouldn't say listening to music, because I've noticed that it's a bad idea,
Yes.
because usually in the music you cannot understand the tones.
Yeah.
So maybe it wouldn't be a good idea. But for you to improve your listening, that means you need more exposure. You need the exposure from the local people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So basically, that's what I have to say about that.
Wow. So one thing I've learned from what you just mentioned is um when people come to China, they shouldn't follow their own country mates in some way. Yeah.
Not really, because I don't want people to think that I'm saying don't hang out with your country mates. It depends. Like, of
Yeah.
course, you need to hang out with the people that you can relate to. That's very
Yes.
important, because it gets very lonely when you come abroad. A lot of people don't talk about it, but you get really lonely when you come abroad. But
Yeah.
there should be a balance, because remember, you left your country because you want to experience something new.
Yeah.
You want to live in a different country. So now you got to also mingle with other people,
Yeah.
get to know more from other culture, especially here in China, that you meet people from around the world. So take it as an opportunity that you probably will never have again. That's how you you can take it, and
Oh,
balance.
wow. Balance. Wow, that's so
Yeah.
inspiring. We shouldn't only leave our country mates, but we should balance it. Wow. Changing environment and also hanging out with Chinese to be able to learn Chinese language. Wow. So after hanging out with Chinese, now learning Chinese, how did you make it? You were seeing improvement and
Yeah, sure. I started seeing improvement. I started, challenging myself. One of the things that I used to do, even when, my Chinese was
yes.
still not perfect, but there was some competition, Chinese
Yeah.
language competition. I used to join those things. I used to join activities in school,
Wow.
even when my Chinese wasn't really good, and that helped me somehow to
Wow.
improve. But even when I started my major, it was still a challenge, because now, okay, I feel like my Chinese is okay, I can communicate, but now
Yes.
I'm going to learn some terms, some specific terms from the major. Now how
Yes.
am I going to do that? So
Yeah.
it's a journey, it's a never ending journey. Even as you're in China, you might living in a city where people have a certain accent. Now you change to another city, and
Yes.
it's a whole it's a whole different, and some of those people, they will be even speaking their local language. So
Yeah.
you got to be open to keep on learning every day.
Wow. That's so inspiring. So those who just joined and those who are yet to join, today we are with one special guest, Ivy from Cape Verde. She is currently a master's student in China and she's sharing her life experience to us all about living in China for over 5 years now, the challenges she went through and the challenges she was able to overcome. I'm very sure this kind of information will be very useful to somebody who is already in China or anybody traveling to a different country altogether. Wow, I'm really inspired. You couldn't even speak English, Chinese, and that you were even part of those who were failing in class, and the story changed after you changed your mindset, after you started hanging out with Chinese. Wow, this is so inspiring. Now you were able to make pass your Chinese language, then you started your major. How were you able to manage that? I personally, I came and I was learning English. How were you able to learn engineering in Chinese language? Wow.
Now that's the time of my life where I was like, what am I doing in life? That was the
Wow.
time of my life I said, you know what am I suffering for? What am I suffering for? Because it was so hard.
Wow.
I'm not going to romanticize how to say this. I'm
Yeah.
not going to make it. Oh, it was up
It's,
and down, up and down, up and down until I figure it out. I used to go to class. You
yes.
know, every Chinese person, they have different accents. There are some teachers who have some very deep accents. So
Yeah.
sometimes you don't understand a thing. And what
Yeah.
helped me is
Yes.
I would always follow my books and take pictures of the teacher's presentation.
Yes.
My life was translating things when I get home. And still, when you go to do some exams, you still
Yes.
find out that, oh, I actually failed.
Oh. Wow, this must be so challenging. I can't. I just. I'm still imagining how you can learn engineering in Chinese language. Somebody even without English background. You mentioned you were able to figure it out. How were you able to figure it out to complete your major in Chinese language?
Yeah. So, first of all, for me, I always had this thing, this thought that the knowledge is really important for me. So no
Yes.
matter what I'm doing the exams, I want to know. I want to know exactly what am I doing.
Yes.
So I told you I used to go to class, take pictures of the presentation,
Presentation. Yeah.
follow the book very well, and try to translate everything. Another
Yes.
thing that I used to do, when once I get home, I used to go on YouTube, search for classes. Oh, I
Chinese
watched a
class.
lot of classes, a lot of Indian professors teaching, a lot of, try to read by myself and try to understand. And now when I
Yes.
get the knowledge in English or in my language, I try to relate it with what it's in the book and what the teacher said. And then I sat and I said, oh, okay, so that's what she was talking about, or what he was
Yeah.
talking about. So that's how I started to figure out, how to do this. And as I
Wow.
said, I'm sure everyone who have been studying in Chinese can relate to this. It's a
Yes.
journey of ups and down. It's like figuring out here. Sometimes you find out that, okay, it's not really working so much, so what are you going to do? One of the
Yes.
things I used to do a lot is I wasn't a good student in class
Yeah.
comparing to my Chinese peers. I wasn't. But there is one thing about me. Someone told me, actually a friend of mine said, in China, you gotta do all the assignments, you got to do all the small things that a lot of people neglect, do it. So
Yes.
I used to write all my experience reports. When you go to the lab, I don't know, I didn't even know much sometimes, like which character to use. I would
Yes.
just search and try to translate and try to write, even though some of those characters I'll write them wrong, because there's a
Yes.
way that you need to write them. You can't just write them anyway. But the
Wow.
teacher would understand, because they'll understand that, okay, I'm a foreigner, so they understand
Yes.
what I'm trying to write. No
Yes.
matter what, I would just do it, the assignments, the reports, I would submit them all. And
Wow.
my only problem was like giving presentations. If we had to do any presentation, that's the
Yes.
part where I used to really be like, oh my god, I don't want to do this. But I used to always talk with the teacher and talk to them about my challenge.
Yes.
They actually came to me and asked me, okay, what is your challenge, because I was the only foreigner in the class. So I used to tell them my challenges, and some of them could understand and could,
Yes.
instead of giving a presentation, maybe write an essay and send to me. Some would be understanding, but some would
Will
say,
not.
well, I can do nothing for you, you have to do it. So it
Wow.
was basically like this.
Wow. I must really applaud you because I came and I was just learning Chinese as a language, but everything was taught in English language. And only that Chinese the way several people were suffering, several people wanted to give up. So I can imagine you learning your major in Chinese language, engineering, and the physics formulas and everything in Chinese language.
It's so
Ooh,
difficult. It's so difficult. Like in my case, it was hard, but I know there are people who manage to
yes,
do it very well. I know people who used to get good grades on their exams, even manage to be how to say one of the
among the
top
best
students.
among
Yeah,
Chinese.
even better than Chinese. They could even get there's I knew this guy. I can never forget. He said that even his Chinese classmates could go to him to try to to learn from him. There are people
Yeah,
who can do it, but in my case, it was very
yeah.
difficult for me.
Wow, you are the kind of people we need, because I know there's always about 1% of people who can really manage and be very good, but most people will be facing challenges. So from all what you said, I could see that you were very hardworking and you were very determined to make it. You were determined and you never wanted to disappoint your parents. That's one thing I've also noticed in your family. So, looking at all these things, did you even have a social life? I feel like your whole life was just on the internet learning, trying to learn past your exam. Did you really have any social life?
I had a very social life.
Oh,
Very, very. The thing is, from the beginning, I told you again, I lost time figuring out. And when I say I lost time figuring out, it's
yeah.
being distracted with things, being distracted with a lot of things.
What are these things which were distracting you?
Oh, for even parents who are watching, if you're a parent, you're watching these.
Yes,
Your kids are coming abroad. They'll
yes.
party, they'll go to places that it wouldn't be allowed maybe if they were, I'm
With
talking
their
about like
parents.
parties, just normal parties. I mean, their
Yeah,
parents wouldn't allow their kids to go on nightclubs.
yes.
But when you come abroad, you definitely
Having
do those
fun.
things.
Yeah,
Now, for parents, instead of saying to your kids, don't go there, don't do this, don't be associated with that, just
yeah,
try to talk to them in a different way, try to show them the way, guide them.
yes.
So basically, the time when I told you I was losing time, being distracted, it was mostly, go out with
Having
people,
fun. Yeah.
having fun, just living my life, which it wasn't anything so huge. It was just me exploring.
Can I,
Now,
yeah. Can I say, maybe because you are a girl child, mostly even in most families, parents are mostly straight with their baby girls. So can I say maybe you didn't have that kind of freedom back home to explore and everything. So I feel like that's why when most people get the freedom, now they want to explore. It's like being in prison and they leave you out. Like you get that freedom. Was it like that?
I'm not getting you.
Yeah.
It's breaking.
Okay. I was saying that could it be that maybe your parents were so strict on you, so when you came to China, you wanted to you felt like you had the freedom. So you wanted to have fun more. Hello? Hello, can you hear
um
me?
I really couldn't get you. I'm sorry because it's really breaking a lot. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Can you hear me now?
No.
Oh, our network is really disturbing us today.
Okay,
Let-
right now it's fine. You
Oh,
can.
wow. It's fine. Okay, that's great. So I was saying that what advice will you give to people who come to China at the early stage. You came very young at 18 years. So you came, you were like, let me this is time to have fun. This is my time. What advice will you give to people who also get opportunity to leave their country, leave their parents, their family to study abroad?
Yes. What I was saying is like, I wasn't the kind of people who are just having fun all the time, guys.
Yeah,
But I was getting distracted with that. So
yes,
my advice would be, you need to always know what is the purpose why you're doing what you're doing. What is
pep,
your purpose, your long-term goals, and what is your purpose in life? Because of course having fun is okay, it's healthy. But
yeah,
now you need to know, okay, this is the time for having fun, and now this is the time to do my duty. It's understanding very well what is your duty and what is something that you can give yourself as a treat.
yeah,
So somehow I when I was getting distracted,
yeah,
I just came back to my senses and understood that, okay, this is the great opportunity that I cannot mess up. I cannot
yeah,
let my parents down.
yeah.
So, and somehow what helped me a lot is me getting born again. I got born again.
Yeah.
So now I had a family in church, that, elders in church that could guide me as well. I'm so
Oh
grateful
wow.
to people in Sanya International Fellowship. Like, there are people who really guided me, helped me whenever I needed. So this helped me a lot. Me being born again helped me to spot the distractions, you know and
Wow.
obviously it helped me on my studies as well.
Wow. That's so powerful. You mentioned church. Are people allowed to worship in China? To
Yes,
worship? Oh
as far
really?
as I know, yes. But
Yeah.
one thing I know about the churches here is
Yeah.
that they're not underground churches. The government knows about them. They have a
Yes.
place to worship. It's all, let me say, all legal. It's not
Oh wow.
underground. So
Wow.
that it was never a problem. Like, I always joined the Sanya International Fellowship. They have international fellowships in other cities, for example Beijing International Fellowship, or any
Different
other,
provinces. Yeah.
yeah, any other place. So in Sanya I had this good church family that was really, they really helped me a lot. Like, it was a family. It was a family.
Wow. I'm so happy you had those kind of family that really help you. But I'm sure they are not all people who get families like this to direct them, correct them, or something. So, what advice will you give to people? I remember you mentioned purpose. We should know our
Yeah,
purpose.
in terms of like finding families, of course not everyone is going to find people who are going to be willing to help them, willing to, guide them. But one thing I've learned in life,
Yes.
it's all about who you associate with.
Yourself with them.
If you want to, in China you can find any kind of friends. If you want friends for studying, you're going to find them, plenty
Yeah.
of them,
Yeah.
and you know where to find them. If you want to find friends for gossiping, you'll find plenty of them, and you
Yeah.
know where to find them. If you want people who will only take you to club and will not respect your individuality, will not respect when it's your time to focus, and just want you to
Yeah.
party, 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 you're going to find them, and you know where to find them.
Wow.
So it's all about who you associate with you. Of course, don't take your responsibility, because you also have a responsibility on making your decisions. But
Yes.
also be careful how you associate and where you associate, and be careful to not lose your individuality, to not, now, okay, it's what everyone is going to do, that's what I'm going to do. You need to differentiate that.
Wow, that's so powerful. So one of the biggest challenge you face in China is Chinese language, the language barrier.
Mhm.
Apart from that, what congratulations. I'm so proud that you were able to manage and
Thank you.
to figure it out, and I'm really proud of you. I can imagine me learning Chinese pharmacy in Chinese. Mm, that must be so serious. So apart from Chinese language, did you face any other challenges?
Yes, I did. I did face other challenge. For example, again, when you start being aware of, okay, association, how am I supposed to, who am I supposed to associate with? Now
Yeah.
you start cutting a lot of things and a lot
Yes.
of groups from your list. So
Yes.
now you get to a point that sometimes you get lonely. You get really lonely in terms of friends. Okay, I had the church family, of course,
Yes.
that it's a dear family for me, but I also
Yes.
need people of my age. I need, so
Yes.
I guess that there is one of the parts that I would say it's very difficult is the fact of not only you're far from all your friends, from all your
Yes.
family, but you also have a problem sometimes to relate to people
Wow.
here. And you have to, when you find someone that is really like close to you, that's the person that you have to hold into, and you guys can be together. In my case, it was my best friend. Once I
Yeah.
met her, now I stopped being so lonely. Like when we started becoming really really close,
Yes.
now I can relate to that. She's my best friend. So yeah,
Wow.
I would say being lonely in a foreign land when you don't have your family, you don't have your best friends, it can be challenging.
Wow. I'm really happy you mentioned this point because I don't think it's not only students. There are several people who have traveled to other countries abroad that they always complain of loneliness. And sometimes people even die because of loneliness, depression. It's a
Yes.
very serious something, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Wow. We
And
should
the thing
try.
is,
Yeah.
that loneliness, it can now bring other kind of problems, as you mentioned, depression, anxiety, and other kind of stuff. Like sometimes I meet people, they tell me about their lives, how they're going through a lot of things, and I
Yeah.
understand that some of their problems, it's because they don't actually have someone they can count on.
Talk to.
You can
Yeah.
be surrounded by so many people, but it's really difficult to find the people that, the ones that are for you, the ones that you can really count on them.
Wow.
So, people, please, if you're abroad, if you feel any type of way, reach people, because sometimes people don't even know what you're going through. Sometimes
Yeah.
you're just in your closet and people don't know. So try to reach the right people. Try to ask for help. Ask for help, guys. I
Wow.
lost so many years of my life not asking for help,
Wow.
and now I try to ask for help, because sometimes there is that person who's just there willing to help. It's just
Yeah.
they're willing to help you with a lot of things, so you have to reach them.
Wow, I'm really impressed that you are mentioning some things I personally I never thought of. When I always talk about people's challenge, they talk about Chinese touching them and all those things, but this is something very important, like loneliness. Wow. So you are saying we should always form like have families here. So far as we
Yeah,
are far away, we should try to have families, not just people older than us, but even our age mate people can relate to us. Wow, that's so
it,
powerful. Apart from loneliness, did you face any challenge in China?
mm, I've spoke about language barrier,
Yes,
loneliness, the language barrier, and my studies are,
yes,
I
yes,
could put them in one in one bag, because I, as I told you, I study in Chinese, so that was basically my
So,
biggest challenge.
yeah,
My, yeah, like I'm
yeah,
not sure about any other challenge that I could mention.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
basically
yeah.
that.
I think these are the most important challenges you face, and I'm really proud you were able to figure them out. So, after graduation, what really inspired you to still stay in China to pursue your master's?
Okay, so now after my graduation,
Yeah,
I wasn't feeling like ready to go back home.
yeah,
Why wasn't I feeling ready to go back home? Because remember, I see me coming here, me leaving my country as an opportunity to
yes,
become better or an opportunity to achieve different
yeah,
things.
yeah,
I don't want to leave my home, leave my country, the comfort of being with a family just to come here and and not feel like I gained
achieve,
anything. Of course,
yes,
I gained a lot of things, but I still didn't feel that okay,
you were
it was
enough.
enough for me. You
Wow.
understand?
So, you wanted more.
Yes, and I started having other ideas that okay, I could do this, I could do that, and China could be a channel to help me to make those things come true.
Yeah,
So I wasn't ready to leave, so that's how I started applying for masters, and thank God I am studying in English, guys. I'm not studying in Chinese anymore.
so your master's is now in English language. Wow, interesting.
It's in
Okay,
English. It's a whole new thing. It's a whole new context, before I used to be the only foreigner in my class, and
yes.
during my master's program, we are only foreigners. Only
Wow,
foreigners. So
wow. That's so great. So you mentioned several challenges you went through coming to China. Will you advise somebody to come to China?
I to come it could be this advice can apply for any kind of countries.
Yeah,
If you really want to go there, if you
yeah,
feel like okay, you have a purpose there,
yeah,
come, or go whatever you feel like. uh, it all depends on your purpose. Be a purpose driven person. Don't go
yeah.
to places just because everyone is going. So if
Okay.
you really feel like you can China is important for your purpose, come
Yes,
to China. But I have to tell you, you got to be open to learn the language, to be exposed to different food, because it's a whole
yes,
nother country. It's a whole
yeah,
nother country. And another thing is, if you're coming as a student,
yeah,
remember, here in China you cannot work as a student. So
yeah,
that means that if you don't have a scholarship, or if your parents cannot support you here,
yes.
you are going to come here and have financial burdens.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah,
So this, you have to have this in mind. I like to tell people this because, and I've actually, there was this guy from my country who asked me, okay, how is China? I want to come to China. And I was listing everything which could be good and could
challenges.
be, a challenge.
Yes,
And that person said, you don't want me to come to China? You don't want me to leave my
yeah,
you don't want
yeah.
me to leave the country? And I said no. And this is what a lot of people think. Okay, this person, she
Doesn't
had
want
made.
you to. You are
Yes,
trying to discourage them not to come to China. Oh,
exactly. Me, you, if right now I cannot tell you everything, because we don't have the time. For the time's sake,
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just tell you
yeah.
like this.
Sure.
But if you talk to me,
Yeah,
if you're my friend and you're asking me, okay, should I come to China? How is it? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you how it is. And now you
yeah,
gotta decide if, okay, I can accept this, or there are things I cannot accept, or for my purpose, this is going to be great or it's not going to be great. I'll just tell you how it is. So
Wow.
that's why I say, if you want to come here, make sure you search about the country, you search about everything, you listen from people, because
Yeah.
sometimes you search a lot of stuff but turns out is a different thing. And
Yeah.
financially speaking, I have to talk to you guys who wants to come to China as a student. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's impossible, but if you're coming on a scholarship, it's going to be good. Or if your parents can support your studies here, it's going to be good. But
Yeah.
if you don't have any source of income, don't think that you're coming to China, you're getting a job, and it's going to be okay to work. And then in some years, you're going to get a citizenship, because no, it's not going to happen. It's not
Wow.
going to.
Wow. Indeed, it's not going to happen. I'm so happy you are being so real. Our time is far behind. Before we even end, we have some last question to ask. But I'm so happy you have been so open to express your personal feelings, how your all your fears, your challenges to people, which can inspire others so that you'll not go through those kind of challenges and those. And I'm really proud that you were able to manage to learn engineering in Chinese language. Wow, that is so impressive. Before leaving, mm, I'm sure in the future we'll still have you again. We'll have you to talk about how to survive in China, how to make money, how to have other social life as a student. Today, I think we heard much of the sad part, so much challenges, but I think it's so inspiring too as well. Upon all these challenges and all those things, how has China impacted your life?
Um, First of all, I would like to say that I came here and I was exposed to so much things. Exposed to the Chinese culture,
Yeah,
exposed to people from other countries. So China has been a place for me to learn.
yeah.
I've learned so much, and how it changed my life. Right?
How it impacted
It's
you, I don't know whether it's positive or negative. It can either be positive or negative, so you have to
no,
tell
it
us.
has impacted me on a positive side.
Okay.
For example, one of the things I see here in China a lot is how they were able to build this country. You know,
Yeah.
if you guys study how China was back in the days and now they are right now,
Yeah.
you would definitely say, okay, I have to learn a couple things. And every day I take notes from the things that I see, that I understand that, oh, that's why they succeeded in this, or that's why this this particular person has succeeded even when she or he didn't have anything.
Anything.
So I
Wow.
take those notes and I applied it to my life, and of course some of them I'm going to apply in the future.
Yes.
Another thing that China has impacted me a lot, I have to tell you this. It's
Yeah.
being on time.
Being on time. What is
Res-
it about time?
Respecting time. If you want to be successful, it's
Yeah.
something I've been trying to learn to learn and teaching myself over time. If you want to be
Yeah.
successful, you got to respect time.
Wow.
Respect time in which perspective? First of all, understand that you have a limited time on the earth. Okay,
Yes.
you don't have a whole life, a whole, you know, you don't have
Yeah.
even,
More
some
time.
of us won't even have 100 years here.
Yeah.
So this is the first thing. Time is already not in your favor.
Yeah.
Second, how to honor your responsibilities and how to honor time. Here in China, you probably know everyone is on time. Going to places, even if it's the most silly event, people
Yes.
will go there on time. And I
Yeah.
am coming from a culture where we are very loose with time.
Yeah.
Even me in my family, we didn't respect time that much. When I came to
Yeah.
China, I understood that if I'm not in time on time,
Yeah.
I'm going to lose a lot of opportunities.
Wow.
And so the lesson of time, it's really one of the biggest lesson I learned in China, and it has inspired me to do better and to to take the projects out of the paper, you know.
Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
still not there, guys. I'm still not in where I want to be, but I'm getting there.
Wow. Sure. Wow. I'm really, really inspired that China has impacted you positively in so many ways. I can feel that you have so many informations, but due to our time, in the future, we would like to have you on this platform to tell us how, what are those things that you realize that is why China has been able to make it to this far, and how students can also manage to live here, survive here, or make money economically in so many things. Above all, I'm really impressed and thank you very much for being open to share all your fears and challenges. Not everybody is always happy to share what they've gone through, their failures, their challenges, their lives, and everything. But you have been open to us, and I know it will inspire so many people, especially people who are going through these kind of issues and these kind of challenges. Above all, I'm really proud of you from being able to learn English language and Chinese at the same time, learn engineering in Chinese, and graduate successfully. We are really proud of you, and I know your family is also proud of you. Thank you very much for having us. And I'm sure there are so many people who would like to reach you from watching this uh, interview. If you want to give out your handout, how will people reach you if they want to reach you for any guidance or ideas or anything?
First of all, I would like to thank you so much for inviting me to your platform. Oh my God, you're doing amazing. You're helping
Thank you.
so many people. You're helping people to understand more about China, but you're doing beyond that. It's not only about understanding China. It's about understanding a lot of things of life. So thank you so much for being doing this. And I'm sure you're not even getting paid to do this. So it's really difficult to find people who wants to just do it freely, just to help others. So thank you so much for be doing this and for inviting
Thank
me.
you.
I'm
Yeah,
so honored. It was a pleasure to be here, and I'll be glad to if people want to reach me, you can find me on Instagram or on
yes,
Facebook. I'm more on Instagram.
yeah,
So my Instagram, it's like Oliveira Ivonilde. It's my name.
yes,
I guess that's my idea. I'm not even sure. But maybe if someone wants to contact me,
yes.
maybe can contact you and then you can do the bridge.
Sure, sure. I'll do that. So, what are your last words before we leave?
Hmm, let me see. Be open. Be open to learn. Pretend that you don't know nothing and see the
Wow,
magic happens.
wow, guys! If you want to see the magic happen, you need to be open-minded. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where time will permit us to end today's live show. A time where our guest Ivy, she is currently a master's student, where she shared so many things with us, from being having challenges of learning in Chinese language, learning engineering in Chinese language, to a point where she was able to learn engineering in Chinese language, graduate successfully, and she was granted even a scholarship for master's degree. She shares several things about the challenges she faced in China, and I'm very hopeful and I'm very sure this will also be useful to you, even if you are not coming to China, any other country you are traveling to. This kind of information will be very useful to you. And don't forget, stay tuned as we have more upcoming guests who will be live on this show to share their personal experience with you. Remember, we are having live because we want people to share everything from their hearts. We want the reality of all their experiences. And I know it will be useful to you. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe, like to this video for more. Until then, see you all and thank you very much, our beautiful guest, Ivy Oliveira, Oliveira Ivoide. I like your name too. See you next time. Bye
See you,
bye.
see you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.